This video shows you how to use CloudExtend when creating item receipts for return authorizations. To start the process, we'll need to build a template for the item receipt record type. And to do so, we'll select either Create New Records or Search and Download. For this video, I'm going to select Create New Records. And once I select this, it's going to bring me to a 3-step process. The first step, we're going to select the record type for item receipt. Here, I'm going to search for item receipt. I'm going to select this. And now here in step 2, this is where I'm going to search for the fields that are required on my item receipt record form in NetSuite. For demo purposes, I'm going to add in all the fields and then I'll walk through what type of fields I've added based on my test drive account. All right, I've added all of the fields. Let's click on Add Fields. And I'm going to go through the fields I've added onto my template. So the first field is Tran ID. After that is Created From. Next is going to be the item sublist. So the item sublist contains item, order line, quantity, location, item receive, and then there's also replace all. So replace all is actually optional for you to add onto the template, but this is beneficial if you're going to be using CloudExtend to perform any kind of partial receipts or partial fulfillments. So now that I have all of the fields, I'm going to click on Continue. Click on Yes. And also, if you want to save your template, you do have an option to save your template onto your CloudExtend session. So I'm going to just toggle this on. And here, I want to rename this. Let's just say I want to rename this and just say Item Receipt Template for RA for Return Authorization. And if I scroll down a little further, there is an option for me to share with the organization. If I do toggle this on, everyone within my organization can see this template. But for this video, I'm going to leave this off. Now I'm going to click on Save and Enter Data. This is going to save my template onto my CloudExtend session. And every time I want to load it, I'll just go to my templates and load this template that I built. All right, so now the template is successfully saved. Let's go in and add some data into the template so we can upload it into NetSuite. For demo purposes, I already have a tab right here that is going to be the item receipt data. So if I go into this tab right here, you can see that I have some data here that I can upload and create the item receipt for the return authorization. So I'm going to review some of these fields or these columns I've added data. This Created From field for the return authorization number, it actually is pulled in from sheet 2 right here. So if I go into sheet 2, this is going to be the return authorization transaction ID number. And that's something that I can add into the Created From right here. And then all of these items are being pulled in from this item column right here. Same thing with the order line. This is in reference to the line IDs of the return authorization. The quantity is coming from the return authorization. And the location is going to be something that you can manually insert into that column. And item receive is a true false field. So here, if I want to receive all of it, or I did receive all of the items, I'll just add true. And then also here's the replace all. So this field is also a true false field. But if you do mark it as false for any of these line items, you're essentially performing a partial receipt. Let's just say I only received 20 out of the 90. I can actually put false throughout all of the rows right here to let the system know that I only received the first 20 items. And then the other items that I did not receive, I'm going to create another item receipt record when I do receive those items. So now that I have everything here, let's start off by uploading everything and create the item receipt for this return authorization for all of the items. And a little bit after this, I will show you how you can perform a partial receipt for the items that you received when it comes to the return authorization. So when I do want to create this record, I'll just go to Upload to NetSuite, go down to Upload Records, and you can see that it's uploading the first batch. So it's reading the table to see what data is in there. So here you can see that it's reading the cell A3 to K96. And if everything is correct, it is going to upload that data and generate an internal ID in column B. So now that everything has returned back in green for the internal ID, that means that the upload has been successful. Next, I am going to show you how you can perform a partial receipt for the same return authorization. But before I do that, I'm going to delete this record to ensure that I can actually receive those items for that return authorization. All right, so now this record is deleted. I am just going to clear this out. So now what I'm going to do, I am just going to copy this. Let's just say I copy the first 20 items right here. I'm going to go into the new sheet for the item receipt template. I'm just going to paste it here. And in this case, for the replace all field, I'm going to add false and repeat it throughout the rows. And you can see that all the other items after the line item 20 has been removed. And I'm only uploading and updating the first 20 line items that I received. And by putting this as false for the replace all, you're telling the system that I'm not trying to replace all 90 items. I'm just going to receive 20 of those 90 items based off of what I've received in the warehouse. So now I'm going to go to upload to NetSuite, upload records. And in just a sec, you're going to see the internal ID is going to return back in green as well for this upload. So once this returns back in green, I'm going to return also the transaction ID so we can go into NetSuite to look for that particular return authorization. Perfect. So now that the internal ID has returned back in green, I'm going to just do a reload records. Go to reload records. And it's going to return the transaction ID and the line ID of the items that I have received inside of this item receipt template. Perfect. So now that I have the transaction ID or the item receipt number, I'm going to copy this and we'll go into NetSuite to search for that item receipt record. Okay, so now that we're in NetSuite, we're going to run a global search. And you can see that the item receipt has been created right here. So I'm going to select this item receipt. And also here in the item receipt, you can see that the created from is the reference of the return authorization. And then also if I do want to take a look at the items I've uploaded partially, you can see that these are the 20 items that I've received. And this is going to be the quantity and the location. And if you do want to take a look at the audit trail, you can go to System Information, go into System Notes. And within the System Notes, you're going to see that it will populate the data of when it was created for the item receipt, who created this, under what context, and what type of operation it was performed. And it'll also show you what type of field has been populated based off of the creation or update of the item receipt. If you need further support, please visit our support site at support.cloudextend.io.